This is Matt Hurd at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter, and this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We're a movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show, each episode. You can find more of our work at ObsessiveViewer.com or more of our podcast at ObsessiveViewer.com/podcast, and like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at Facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer. You can also support us on Patreon at Patreon.com/ObsessiveViewer. We just recorded an episode with Patreon subscriber Ben just the other day, and you may have already heard it at this point, so it's definitely exciting. And yeah, support us on Patreon. It's really appreciated. I'm your host, the aforementioned Matt Hurd, and with me today is first-time guest on the podcast, Manny, and I've never pronounced your last name out loud.
Casillas.
Casillas. Okay, Manny Casillas.
Just think, you say tortilla.
Mm-hmm.
So, Casillas, you don't pronounce
Casillas.
the L's.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm glad I didn't make an ass out of myself.
Like, you would have been the first to
Right.
mispronounce my name.
Sure.
You should see my high school yearbooks.
Oh God, I can't imagine. I feel very thankful for having just a really simple name. But yeah, speaking of unique names and everything, I know you through Kirsten, who also has a unique name. You and her go back to college and
A decade
theater.
now.
Wow.
I knew her when she was 18 years old.
Jeez. That's, I'm
Fresh-faced college freshman in the theater department, which I actually did not even know she was a theater major at first.
Oh, really?
When I first saw Kirsten, she would always be in this computer lab,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would see her at our production meetings.
Okay.
But she wasn't exactly sitting with the theater people, so I thought she was a production student. And I continued thinking this until we went to the American College Theater Festival. Something we used to always do. The whole department would go.
Sure.
And when I saw her like on the bus,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "Oh, you're a major?"
Nice.
I really just did not know.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know.
Well, I'm really glad to have you on the podcast so that we can dig up all the dirt we can on Kirsten, on our recurring co-host.
She knows nothing.
Yeah. Well, I do feel kind of nervous asking for dirt on her because she could bury me, I'm sure.
I don't think I don't really have anything on her. You do.
Really?
You've known her a lot longer.
I haven't known her. No, I haven't known her for about 4 years. This will be year 5, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought y'all went back to high school. or
Oh,
something.
no. That went, I met her in 2014 after working with like her whole family for like years at that point. So yeah,
Well, Kirsten is not up for an Oscar this year.
she's not.
So I hate for her to find out this way. But
Right. But, while we're talking,
that is the truth.
yeah, while we're talking about her, she does have a show opening next weekend, Almost Maine from Mud Creek
Players.
Yes. Super excited about that. I don't know what day I'm going to go, but I'm excited for that. And, do you have any shows or anything? Or?
I actually have one up that same weekend.
Oh, nice. What is it? And feel free to promote it.
I am featured in a show called Wait Until Dark,
Okay.
with Epilogue Players.
Oh, nice.
And Epilogue
Epilogue.
Players, yeah, they're here in town in Indianapolis. They're at 19th and Alabama. They share the building with Footlight Musicals.
Okay. Yeah. I've
And
seen a couple of shows that Kirsten's done there.
yep, she's done at least 4 with them. This is
Yeah,
my
something like
second
that.
one
Nice.
with Epilogue.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Wait Until Dark is by Frederick Knott, who also wrote Dial M for Murder.
Oh, nice.
Both of them became quite famous movies. Wait Until Dark starred Audrey Hepburn
Oh, okay.
and Alan Arkin. Actually, it was the last movie I think that Audrey Hepburn did before she just retired for a
Oh,
decade.
wow.
Because she wanted to like raise her children and all that.
Sure.
And I think it was her last Oscar nomination too.
Mhm.
But yes, Wait Until Dark starts. We have a preview on Valentine's Day, that Thursday, and we run for 2 weekends, and Almost Maine runs for 3 weekends. So
Yeah.
I will be able to see Almost Maine
Nice.
the 3rd weekend.
Nice. And our listeners will be able to divide their plans between both shows.
Which I need to point out, too, Wait Until Dark, we open the night that Cher is in town. So
Oh, wow.
I'm glad I did not buy a ticket as I considered doing months ago. Every time I want to see Cher, I get thwarted in one way or another.
Jeez. And you've done a lot of theater in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you you do Bard Fest?
I've done 2 of them now.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice.
Was in Diva Fest last year.
Okay.
Been like The Matchmaker, Dr. Cerberus, Squabbles with Kirsten. I've done 4 shows with Kirsten.
Nice. I want to say Squabbles is the only one that I've seen with
That was what Epilogue.
Yeah. That was a really fun show.
Although her and I have done 4 shows, but we don't ever get a lot of stage time together.
Right.
In fact, I think the most stage time we ever had was when we did this show called Pence Wars.
I missed that. I was so bummed that I missed that one.
She was playing Hillary Clinton, I was playing Bernie Sanders.
That's
and
so
I think that
awesome.
was the most stage time we actually had together.
Nice.
I remember we did King Lear and her and I barely crossed paths.
Oh, okay, yeah. I saw King Lear also. Yeah. Well, that's cool. So,
so what did you? I didn't hear this Oscar episode. What did you think of?
We haven't posted it yet.
Oh,
so-
okay.
so,
Well,
yeah.
what did you think about these nominations?
Okay, so I have been on record with my gripes and everything about Green Book. Like, I can't stand that movie, and it's just I have like anxiety that it's gonna sweep. I don't know why, because it just feels like it's such a step backwards from kind of the more progressive, like, Oscar stuff that's come out. Like, my big thing is that, Green Book is the safe race relations kind of movie, whereas, like, we've had Blind Spotting, which got pretty much completely shut out. Black Klansman. We have all of these movies that are just really, interesting depictions of, like actual, like, race relations and the institutions that promote racism. But we've got Green Book where, it's Viggo Mortensen folding up a pizza and eating it and then solving racism. It's just, I don't know. What do you think of the nominations?
A bit disappointing, but not so disappointing that I'm like pissed about anything.
Sure.
Really, the one thing I'm most pissed about is the Oscar show itself.
Oh, yeah.
Because
we didn't touch on that.
It sounds like it's going to be just so frustrating.
Yeah.
They're going to apparently not televise each category.
I saw, like, headlines about that, and that's...
because we learn, because the Oscars are a lot like the Democratic Party. They're obsessed with pleasing people who hate them no matter what they do.
Right.
Every year you have these same complaints. Oh, they're too long. Mm-hmm. The movies aren't very well known. It's too political, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, so what?
Yeah.
It happens once a year. Get over it.
Exactly.
Oh, nobody's watching. The ratings are low. Yeah. Ratings for live TV is down across the board.
Oh, yeah.
Last night's Super Bowl was the lowest in 10 years.
Yeah.
And they're still getting big numbers.
Right.
But it's still low.
Yeah.
And the Oscars is actually still the highest rated non-sports event for live TV.
Nice.
And that's just how it is across the board.
Yeah. I think that's more just people aren't watching TV anymore.
Right.
I just got rid of my, even my local channels because it was cheaper to just have internet. So I don't know how I'm going to watch the Oscars, but that's a problem for 3 weeks in the future, Matt. But
they were going to not have all the best song nominees perform, but now they will, I guess.
Yeah. And they're still saying that there's not going to, they've officially said there's not going to be any host or anything. And
there's not a host, which that doesn't really bother me.
Yeah.
But it's just, there was a New York Times headline that said, "Are the Oscars ashamed to be the Oscars?" And apparently they are, because all they're worried about is like the critics, which there is this core group of people who are like fans who will enjoy the show and what it's about and everything.
Yeah.
And they just don't seem to care. Mm-hmm. I'm glad they're not doing this best popular.
I was just going to ask you about that because I know that you have very big opinions of that.
It was just ridiculous. Like, how do you what constitute a popular film necessarily?
I guess just box office, but
I mean, take Green Book. What's surprising about it that it's gotten all this awards attention? It wasn't really a moneymaker.
No,
usually those movies are moneymakers. Mm-hmm. Green Book didn't do very well when it opened. It is now apparently, but I did not think it would get so much awards attention because of that.
Yeah, I was kind of just really surprised when I saw it getting so much awards attention.
I'm very glad they did not nominate Peter Farrelly.
Oh, me too.
I still cannot believe that the Directors Guild nominated him and the Academy didn't. You would think that was the opposite would happen.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So what had happened was a whole guild of directors watched Green Book, and they watched If Beale Street Could Talk and thought the former is more deserving of a nomination.
Yeah. If Beale Street Could Talk was fucking beautiful. Like, that was I was so just wrapped up in it, and I'm just so pissed that it didn't get the attention that it deserves.
I'll be honest, I don't dislike Green Book.
Okay.
I really don't.
Sure.
I'll be even more controversial. I don't dislike Crash.
I was looking through your Letterboxd and I saw that you had recently reviewed Crash, and I think you gave it like 3.5 stars.
Recently. That's actually an old review.
Fair.
Since I've been, I have all these reviews I wrote over a span of like 10 years.
Oh, nice.
Because Facebook used to have Flickster.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Which I used to be on all the time. Flickster's just died one day in 2015.
Yeah.
And then most of what I wrote is gone. God, a bunch of stuff sucks. I saved to a flash drive, but a lot of it is out of order.
Okay.
A lot of it needs tweaking, and I've been combing through it all.
Yeah.
Editing a bit, updating a bit, and I got through all of 2004. Now I'm on 2005. I have like 8 years to go.
I was wondering, because like you are just rapid fire posting reviews and stuff, and I'm just like, how is this? So that's
I'm not watching all those movies in succession.
That's a really interesting peek behind the curtain, because I felt very inadequate. Like every time I would load Letterboxd and be like, "Fuck, man, he's watching tons of stuff."
No, I haven't seen Crash since I watched it as a college sophomore in my dorm room.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since like right before the Oscars that year. Let's talk a little bit before we get too deep into it. Let's talk a little bit about Letterboxd, because contractually the podcast is obligated to reference Letterboxd at some point every episode. Not really, but we adore Letterboxd. It's like, it has been revolutionary for us on the podcast. So first of all, your username is Criterion with a Y.
Right, like Criterion and Tyrion Lannister.
That's okay. Gotcha. Nice. That's because I was trying to like figure out like how. Okay. Nice.
And I'm honestly really surprised that no one else had that.
Oh yeah.
Because it wasn't even for Letterboxd; it was my Twitter handle. So.
Oh, nice.
Surprising, nobody else on Letterboxd thought of it.
Yeah. I'll like, if I'm kind of stalking my co-hosts' Letterboxd pages, I'll type in like obsessive viewer into like the search bar, and then I'll see like other users that they don't have that username, but like they have in their like bio like, oh, I'm an obsessive viewer, and I'm like, well, all right, be careful, like copyright there or trademark, I guess. I don't know which one it would be, but no, Letterboxd is amazing. How long have you been a member?
Since last summer.
Okay, nice. And
which I kind of I didn't know what it was because sometimes I show my age and I just don't bother with certain things. And somebody, a friend of mine said, you should get on Letterboxd. And yeah, that's pretty much how it happened.
Nice.
Because when I did get on Letterboxd, I had this blog called Sticky Shoe Review that I don't do very well. And I had like 3 years worth of reviews on that, so I just put them all on there.
Nice.
Yeah, so I've not been on Letterboxd for very long.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, you've put plenty of stuff on there. I noticed that you pretty much just exclusively just put in the reviews. Do you not bother with like logging movies and the dates and everything?
I don't really care.
Okay. See, when we had our Patreon supporter Ben on this past weekend, like me and my co-host Tiny, we were talking to him, and like I asked him the same question because he does the same thing. He just posts reviews, and then like Tiny mentioned, he said, yeah, it's hard to remember that, like, we're the weird ones. Like, we log everything and we do everything, like, really, like, detailed like that. And, like, we're the outliers of maybe not of Letterboxd particularly, but it's, like, we're obsessive about it. So it's just, like, anytime I see just, like, oh, just someone has just a bunch of reviews, I'm like, oh, why aren't you logging them? But yeah, because we're the weird ones. But yeah, your reviews are really awesome. Like, I really enjoy reading them, and yeah, so I'm glad to have you on the podcast about it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice to be here.
Yeah.
I wish the cat would come out.
I know. She's just the worst. I told you before we were recording, that I had told Kirsten that I was really hoping that Pizza, like would take to you and like really.
She wouldn't have a choice.
Yeah.
I don't allow cats to choose whether they like me. I like them.
Nice.
So
I think that's something that Kirsten should adopt because
if you tell me, oh, that cat doesn't really like to be picked up and held, I'll pick the cat up. I'll do it.
Nice. Yeah. So back to the Oscars though. So yeah, again, Criterion Lannister. Find him on Letterboxd there. And so the Oscars. What movies for this year to start off? What movies do you think were snubbed or should have been, nominated or aren't even in consideration?
I would definitely trade out Green Book and Bohemian Rhapsody for Widows and If Beale Street Could Talk.
Yeah, I agree.
As well as 8th Grade, Hereditary, and Sorry to Bother You. So just add those with the other nominees, and that's my top 10 list there. 2018 was a really strong year for movies.
I agree. And like, it was like the first, I watched more movies in 2018 than I have really any other year. Like, in terms of my stats and everything, it was a record year for me. And I saw like 109 2018 released movies. And like, this is the first year that the nominees have come out and I have seen every Best Picture nominee already. So I'm in a very good position, but it's also like I feel like a weird pull toward like, okay, well, 8th Grade should have been nominated, but it's like, okay, I can see like how it's crowded because there's like some categories that are really stacked and everything. So I can't be like that.
Well, I think there are only 8 Best Picture nominees.
Yeah, and that's... let's get your read on that.
Which I would actually take out Vice, too. I loved Vice, but not so much.
And there's been such a... I don't want to say backlash, but there's been such a strong, I guess backlash is the closest word, to Vice getting nominated. And I'm kind of curious.
Is there?
Yeah. Oh, I saw on like Twitter, people were just ragging on it. And I kind of wonder, cause I saw it too and I thought it was fine. I totally I guess I get why it was nominated. Some of it was a little hollow and everything. And I think The Big Short did the things that Vice did better. Like, I don't think Adam McKay really...
I think it's more jarring because The Big Short is not a biopic.
Yeah.
Vice is a biopic.
Exactly.
And I could see how that would bother people. I was quite okay with it.
Well, my kind of theory is that I kind of feel like maybe people are just really, really tired and fatigued about politics. And it's
People always say that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the world we're in today, it feels like that's like everything is up to 11 at this point. But I don't know.
I'll be honest, it felt that way when I was a teenager in the Bush years. And we all remember the shit that went down then.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I can see how that would put people off, but to me, Vice is a lot like, or really Adam McKay with The Big Short and Vice. It's like if Michael Moore actually made feature films.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of documentaries.
Huh. I could definitely see that. Although he did make Canadian Bacon.
Because I'm all right with all the fourth wall breaking, the Brechtian stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I loved when they did the Macbeth thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought that was really
great. That was
awesome.
awesome.
That was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly,
the restaurant scene was great.
I hated how much I was attracted to Sam Rockwell as George W. Bush. And I hated how relatable I found Dick Cheney when he knew he was having a heart attack. He would do the thing with his hand. And like, yep, I know that.
Jeez.
Really, the snubs that I was more disappointed. I'm disappointed that at least I would have liked it if Beale Street Could Talk were among the Best Picture nominees, because I really thought it would get there.
Me too. I thought it was a shoo-in.
I hate that 8th Grade and Sorry to Bother You are both not among the original screenplay nominees.
Yeah, and like I get Sorry to Bother You because it's such an out there concept and out there script that like I could see like the Academy not like going for it, but 8th Grade is like. It was my movie of the year. Like,
I couldn't believe it didn't get nominated. And
for anything.
Bo Burnham just got the Directors Guild gave him the award for Best First Time Director.
Oh yeah,
which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Although the Film Independent Spirit Awards are coming up.
Oh yeah,
the night before the Oscars. So
okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if 8th Grade does some good business there.
Yeah, yeah, it would be right for that.
I'm mad that the Supporting Actor category doesn't have Timothée Chalamet and Michael B. Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
That supporting actor category is a little bit of a mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the Best Actors category, I don't envy Oscar voters on that one. The choices for Best Actress this year were totally stacked. Mm-hmm. In my mind, there could have been at least 10 nominees.
Yeah.
I just saw Cold War. The woman in that, Joanna Kulig, she's mesmerizing.
Nice.
She could be among them. Mm-hmm. I could have thrown in Toni Collette for Hereditary. I could have thrown in Elsie Fisher for 8th Grade, Viola Davis for Widows, Catherine Hahn for Private Life.
Yes, my God, that movie.
And you know, we seem to be coming to a place where it used to be that the Best Actor choices were there was just so many to choose from, and and there was scant choices for Best Actress. And last maybe 5 years, the tide has kind of shifted on that, which is very nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And Toni Collette in particular, like I didn't expect Hereditary to get really anything, because it's one of the biggest like pet peeves in general is the whole like, oh well, is it really like anytime like a kind of prestigious or well-crafted horror movie comes out, like the media is like, well, it's not really a horror movie because it's trying to downplay that as a genre, I guess. But to not recognize Hereditary, and especially Toni Collette's performance, is just, even in a stacked category like that, that performance was incredible.
The Oscars don't have a host this year, but I would love it if the Sauce Boy from 8th Grade was hosting. And I would love it
that would be awesome.
I would love it if during the show Toni Collette was there in Hereditary mode and she was just skulking around the building on the ceiling and shit.
That would be awesome. The wrap it up music would be her her with
the piano wire.
God.
There's one snub I'm really surprised about. I'm surprised Mission Impossible is not among the Best Sound nominees.
Yeah, or visual effects either. And
the documentary category was another one that voters had a lot of really good choices, so I didn't really envy them. I was still surprised that the Mr. Rogers one is not among them.
I was shocked by that. I was really shocked by that, because that was such an incredibly moving documentary that I adored it. And I don't know. And like you said, there are a lot of really good documentaries. There's a few I haven't seen yet, but like
Shirkers on Netflix is just unlike anything you've ever seen. It's incredible.
Nice. Have you seen Free Solo yet?
I did see Free Solo.
Okay.
That was the strongest documentaries I saw were Shirkers, Free Solo, Mr. Rogers one, Minding the Gap, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
McQueen, which was about the fashion designer Alexander McQueen. Gosh, there was like two others. There was one that Frederick Wiseman made this year called Monrovia, Indiana.
Oh yeah, that was that
and
played
it's
at
really
Heartland.
Good.
I haven't gotten a chance to see that, but I really want to, because Indiana.
It's really good.
Nice. Yeah, I saw you kind of championing that on Letterboxd,
but I have heard great things about Hale County this evening. Of Fathers and Sons, I don't know really anything about that one yet.
Me neither.
And RBG, I liked. I didn't really love it. I think it'll win.
Okay.
Don't really want it to. I would prefer Minding the Gap wins.
Did you see?
Could still have a chance. Who knows?
Yeah. Did you see On the Basis of Sex?
I did.
Okay.
I liked that one.
Did you see? I don't know. I feel. I don't know. I have just issues with that, just because it feels like it's such an Oscar baity kind of just feel good biopic, which there's nothing wrong with that, but like, I don't know.
It would make a great double feature with Hidden Figures.
Yeah, exactly. And Hidden Figures was good.
They're both very much the same movie, because they're both very bluntly told movies. There's not like this special angle.
Right.
Like Vice is a biopic that has a very different approach.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's nice to have that just straightforward approach. Cause On the Basis of Sex, that movie should be shown in schools.
Yeah.
And kids should be seeing it.
And like, I definitely respect that. And what I kind of came away from it, and I've been kind of honing my thoughts on it, cause I feel like I don't want to shit on the Ruth Bader Ginsburg movie, because I respect her. Like, she's an important figure and everything. But like, watching On the Basis of Sex, I just feel like I didn't learn a lot about her. Like, it was kind of just a celebration of her as an iconic figure, which is fine, but it's
from
like,
the director of Deep Impact.
Yeah. Wow. Is that the same director? Wow. I had no idea. That is nuts.
Mimi Leader?
Yeah. Wow. But just, I don't know, I felt like maybe it's just because we're in such a volatile political time, it seems, that like
I think just in I liked On the Basis of Sex, but there were stronger choices.
Yeah.
And any other year that would probably be doing business.
Yeah.
Another one I would have liked to have seen in the Best Supporting Actor category was John C. Reilly, who just blew me away in Stan and Ollie. I
liked Stan and I liked the performances in Stan and Ollie. I thought that the movie itself was kind of dry for most of the runtime. Especially cause like I kind of had like a disconnect with it, because like that opening sequence, that's just one take of them walking around the studio, and then like you get, is it Danny Houston as as Hal Roach? And like you get like this conflict with them, and then suddenly it's like, oh, 16 years later.
You also get the sense of who they are in the larger, in the world they work in.
Right.
Everyone loves Ollie. Everyone's saying hi to Ollie.
Yep.
Nobody's even really saying anything to Stan.
Right. It's a really well crafted like introduction to the movie, but I was just like, after seeing Danny Houston, I was like, oh, I'm so pumped for like some conflict with Hal Roach and everything, because I don't know enough about the history and everything. And then suddenly it's like, oh, no. They're going to do their tour. It's 16 years later. It's all good.
Well, that's another one too. That's very straightforward.
Yeah.
It focuses a lot on the fact that those two were just very in tune with one another.
Yeah. I mean, when it gets to like their final performance together, like it was incredibly moving.
And
I
just
thought it
as
was really
performers
good.
too, because they didn't they didn't really socialize a lot with
Yeah.
one another.
Oh yeah.
And especially like when the movie picks up when they're starting that tour, I don't think they saw much of each other in the years
I
between.
don't think so either.
And yet they were just so in sync.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on Letterboxd, I've been doing this weekly comedy challenge.
Who made that up?
I don't know. That's the thing. That's that's the dangerous thing about Letterboxd is they do all of these challenges, and I'm like, I have like 4 or 5 that I've, just kind of latched onto this year.
That's where they came from with Letterboxd?
Yeah, just Letterboxd users just creating them and stuff, and I'm like, okay, well this could be fun. And then like we started one, not necessarily like a weekly challenge, but like we've been doing, like me and Mike and Tiny, my co-host, we've been doing this what we're calling the OV list challenge, where we have selected a list, and the list for this year is the Roger Ebert's Great Movies list, 365 movies. Whichever one of us watches the most of those movies for the first time at the end of the year, we pick what list we do next year, essentially. I've watched 5 of them. They haven't really watched any of them yet, but it's still early. But yeah, it's addictive, Letterboxd and like these little things. But anyway, so I've been doing the comedy challenge, and one of them was like watch a comedy featuring a male comedy duo. And I was like, okay, Laurel and Hardy, I'll pick this movie. So I watched Pardon Us, and their chemistry and the rhythm that they're in is just really great.
I think they won the very first Oscar for best short film.
Oh, nice.
The music box, the one with the piano.
Okay.
Trying to get the piano up the stairs. I think that was the first winner of the short film live action.
Nice.
I have this freaking book that can tell
right.
me, but
yeah.
whatever.
Sure.
Sure. I don't know that I can think of any other like snubs I'm really disappointed about. This year.
How do you feel about Bradley Cooper not getting Best Director?
He'll live.
Yeah.
If I had my way, it would have been I would keep in Yorgos Lanthimos and Alfonso Cuarón and Spike Lee, and I would have thrown in Ryan Coogler for Black Panther.
Yeah.
And who was I just thinking of?
Bo Burnham?
No, I think it was Barry Jenkins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it was Barry Jenkins. Yeah. Yes, those 5. Yeah, I mean, Black Panther is who I want to win the Best Picture award.
Okay, do you
There was no other movie that was better, that was stronger, that was more 2018, that's going to last more 10 years from now. It's as culturally significant as Titanic.
That's... When you
better.
put it like that, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The more culturally significant, as great as Titanic is, it wasn't really a game changer the way Black Panther is.
Right. And when you put it like that, I totally get that. I don't know. I just, and maybe this is just me being just your regular 32-year-old white man with a podcast, but like, I just felt like as a movie, like it's really entertaining and it's very groundbreaking and everything, but it's also, I don't know, my kind of sticking point is that the whole like jump up to 10 nominees was kind of in reaction to The Dark Knight not getting not getting nominated for Best Picture. And The Dark Knight completely like transcended that whole genre. Like that, like it is like almost I don't want to say anti-comic book movie, but it's a comic book movie that is so in its own kind, I would say.
I would have nominated The Dark Knight. I just would not have awarded it Best Picture.
Yeah. I don't remember who all it would have been or would have been up against, or who won.
Well, it was that was the year Slumdog Millionaire won.
Oh yeah,
and I think the other nominees were Milk, which should have won. The Reader. I think Frost Nixon.
Okay.
And I cannot remember what the 5th one might have been. I think it was Benjamin Button.
That.
I'm just remembering Hugh Jackman's big number he hosted that year.
Yeah.
and that was still a really great opening bit that he did.
He was great. Like, yeah.
But yeah, that's who my choice to win it is Black Panther. I don't know that Green Book at this point is gonna win.
I hope
the momentum
not.
might be gone. I
think also
the one that has the better shot now might be Roma.
I'm really hopeful for Roma because I loved that movie so much, but I have a feeling that it also being nominated for Best Foreign Film is going to kind of split the vote. And it's not
that foreign language category is no joke. I've seen Roma. I just saw Cold War. I've seen Shoplifters.
I've heard incredible things about
the Japanese
Shoplifters.
movie, and I mean they're just incredible. And 3 of the films in that category are already from directors who have already won Oscars.
Oh yeah,
Cuarón, of course, is a Best Director winner. Cold War director, I don't know how Pavel Pawlikowski, am I best published there? His last film, Ida, won the Best Foreign Language Film, and then Never Look Away, the German director, Florian Henkel von Donnersmarck, won way back in 2007 for this movie called The Lives of Others that was really, really fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah, he did The Lives of Others, which is great, won an Oscar. Then he did his Hollywood debut, was the movie The Tourist.
Oh God.
Then we didn't hear from him for years, and I'm very happy to see that he's back.
The Golden Globe nominated Best Musical Comedy, The Tourist, if I'm not mistaken.
Which tells you everything you need to know about the Golden Globes. They are just an excuse to get big Hollywood stars in one place and get them drunk.
Yes. Which I've always found it to be much more, in terms of a ceremony, much more entertaining than
that is usually the case.
Yeah.
That is usually the case.
Yeah.
But I would say in this last decade, we've seen a little bit of a shift where the Golden Globes, particularly with the TV stuff, has become a little more serious and the Oscars a little more loose. I don't know what the deal is with that.
Jeez.
But the Oscars, they've been around just over 90 years now. And they've been disappointing people since the very beginning.
Right. Yeah.
Since the very beginning.
Yeah. I've always wanted to kind of go back and fill the gaps that I have for, cause there's a lot of classic films that I've just escaped my radar. And that's part of the reason why I'm making more of an effort to watch more classic stuff this year. I just watched last night, I watched The Bank Dick and
The Screen's Greatest Crank, W.C. Fields.
Yeah.
That man hated children.
That's what I hear.
There was this child actor, what was his name? Baby Leroy?
Okay.
That he was in a movie with W.C. Fields called It's a Gift. And I guess Fields really felt like he was just taking a lot of screen time and focus away from him. And apparently he would spike his drinks with whiskey or something.
Good God.
Just to fuck with him.
Wow.
W.C. Fields was kind of nuts.
Yeah, from the sound of it, yeah. And kind of a tragic life too, but in The Bank Dick, I thought he did a great job. But yeah, so I've wanted to fill a lot of gaps, and I don't know, I guess going through the Oscars, the nominees and winners from past years is probably a good way to do that, but it's a pretty tall order.
The TCM is doing their 31 days of Oscar right now.
Oh.
Which, encompasses 31 categories. I mean, there are only 34 categories. Which is another thing that ticks me off about people who complain about it. There are only 34. They're the only award show that airs every category.
Okay, yeah.
Jeez. And if they wanted to add new categories, there's plenty that they could add.
Best popular film.
They could be doing a category for stunt work. They could be doing a category for casting directors. It's amazing to me that voice acting is not an Oscar
that and
category
mocap.
Yet. You would think that Robin Williams and Aladdin would have changed that.
Absolutely.
There could be one. There should be one for music supervisor.
Interesting.
And I would be okay with an Oscar for best first film, best feature film.
That would be cool.
First debut feature. Yeah.
Especially this year there were a ton of just directorial debuts that were
4 of the movies, my top 10 of 2018, 4 of the movies were directing debuts.
Yeah. That's about the same with mine. Yeah. Do you have your top 10 off the top of your head?
Black Panther, Roma, The Favorite, Widows, If Beale Street Could Talk, 8th Grade, Sorry to Bother You, A Star is Born, Black Klansman, and Hereditary.
Nice. And that was completely off the top of your head. That's very impressive.
And half of them are from black filmmakers, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was a good year for black filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of a good year for female filmmakers, kind of not. There were some great stuff from female filmmakers if you actually go out. Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Yeah.
It was great from Danielle Heller.
I still haven't been able, I haven't gotten around to seeing
Private Life on Netflix from Tamara Jenkins. Chloe Zhao's The Writer. It was a really great movie. I heard
great things. That is currently on Amazon Prime. I need to watch
Which
that.
One of the critics groups, I think, named that the best film of 2018.
Nice.
Lynn Ramsey's You Were Never Really Here with Joaquin Phoenix was really, really great. Of course, On the Basis of Sex was also directed by a woman. So there was some good stuff.
There was also the HBO movie that I don't think it played in any theater. So
the one with Laura Dern?
Yeah, it wasn't like in the running. I don't think it was in the running for any Academy or like any awards consideration. But oh my God, why can't I think? It was on my top 10 list.
The
Tale. Incredibly powerful film. It was one of. Have you seen it? Okay, yeah. Just the way that it's so intrinsically tied to her and her story and everything is just mind blowing to me. I kind of wish that it was talked about more because it's one of the most daring films I've seen.
Well, here's what I think is over the Academy's 90-year history, the most egregious thing that they have ever done is the fact that there was not a Best Makeup award until the 1980s.
I didn't even know that. Holy crap.
It's unbelievable how it took them that long to realize makeup artists are a thing.
Jeez.
Imagine how many awards Lon Chaney could have racked up.
Yeah.
Or the work that they did on the Universal monster movies and things like that. It's just weird. Planet of the Apes and 2001: A Space Odyssey came out the same year. Two very different makeup designs, two very great makeup designs. Oh, yeah. And there was no Oscar for either one.
Ridiculous.
And that was that's the stupidest thing I think the Academy has ever done.
Oh, yeah.
I think the first winner was Rick Baker for An American Werewolf in London.
Okay.
Let me look at
fair.
Let me actually look at this.
Sure. The Oscar, and I kind of feel like there's such a sense of importance placed on the Oscars, and because it is movie Super Bowl, and it's something that I wish I could put more credence into the Oscars, but it's never as the older I get, it's the less I feel that it's representative of the best films, as subjective as that is. But
the voting body is getting younger and more diverse now.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the shift in a lot of the stuff that is nominated.
Yeah.
Look at last year. A lot of people were pulling for Get Out to win, including me.
Yeah.
And The Shape of Water won. But The Shape of Water was considered the safe choice. Well, what is The Shape of Water about? A deaf woman who fucks a fish man.
Right.
That's the safe choice.
Yeah.
That's not Crash.
That's right.
So there is a shift going on,
which I think is a really good indicator. That sums up really well how disappointed I am with Green Book being so.
Well, there is still there's still a voting block of these baby boomer type Oscar voters who really love those straightforward, inspirational, make them feel good movies.
Right.
And if they had to pick one this year, I wish they would have gone with First Man instead.
Yeah. I have such a complicated reaction to First Man just cuz I don't know.
First Man is another one where if this were any other year, it would probably be one of these stronger movies out there.
Yeah. I loved the depiction of all of the space flights and test flights and everything, and like the horror of that was depicted really well. I just don't think, as accurate as it was to like Neil Armstrong as a character, I don't think as a subject he's that interesting. And I don't think there was a way, like they tried to make it a more emotional, kind of subtle, kind of emotional arc for him. And like it worked a little bit, but for me it was just like I don't think there was enough.
Well, Chazelle for me is Damien Chazelle. He's starting to come across a lot like Nolan and Kubrick, where the performance is almost an afterthought.
Yeah,
which that was the deal with Stanley Kubrick. It was very much a big set piece.
Sure.
He didn't really care so much about the acting and the actors. Yeah. Sometimes the acting really stood out, which is, I think, Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
Yeah.
Or Heath Ledger in Dark Knight. But usually it's just, like, what of the acting do you remember in Interstellar?
I have such a sordid history with Interstellar. Like there was we did an episode of the podcast where we reviewed Interstellar, and like I was so like I don't know. This was like 4 years ago. I'll admit that I had very high hopes for the movie because it checked all my boxes. It was Christopher Nolan. It was Christopher Nolan doing a space movie. It was Christopher Nolan doing a space movie that I had, that had been on my radar when Steven Spielberg was supposed to do it like years and years before. And they were saying that it's going to be his 2001. But then when I actually saw the movie, I was like, this doesn't feel too like, I don't know. It didn't feel like to me, the concepts were very unique, but it didn't feel like there was anything that was really that interesting to me.
I really loved it.
Yeah.
And I was glad that Nolan finally kind of just was blatant about how much he isn't so concerned with the performances in Dunkirk, because Dunkirk is very much like this video game, and you're not really sure where it's going to go next.
Right.
Not that great performances can't come from that approach.
Yeah. And I think for its faults, Interstellar did have one or two like good acting scenes. The fact that one of them is like Anne Hathaway talking about how love is a scientific property and it connects everything, and was really hokey for me. But
that is how I'm beginning to see Damien Chazelle's films.
Mm-hmm. It was just too bad that there was no reference to jazz in that. In that movie, because I feel like that would have hit like his trifecta.
I was surprised Claire Foy did not make it to the Best Supporting Actress category.
Yeah.
That seemed like a sure bet.
It did.
And then it didn't happen.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to my kind of issues with First Man in general, is that like, for as strong as she was, like there was a lot of her not acting out, but like her basically vocalizing all of her internal, inner kind of anger at Neil Armstrong. But he, just because that's how the character is drawn, there's no back and forth with them. It's just she's kind of against a brick wall with that. And maybe that kind of factors into it, because she did a great job, but I feel like it was almost, I wouldn't say a thankless role, but it wasn't as dynamic as I think it could have been if Neil Armstrong was a more interesting subject for drama.
So I was right about the Makeup Award.
Oh, yeah.
1981, Rick Baker received the first Oscar for makeup for his work on An American Werewolf in London.
Okay.
A fight the previous year over the Academy's refusal to create an award for John Hurt's remarkable appearance in The Elephant Man resulted in this first-time Oscar. It took decades.
Jesus.
Makeup and hair design has been part of cinema since the very beginning, and it took decades.
God.
What the hell is that?
Do you think mocap should be honored with a category?
Yeah. Although with that is, there's there's just not a lot of it around.
That's
just
true.
not as much around.
Yeah.
Voice acting is easy. There's a lot of cartoons these days, and not even just cartoons. Like, if you remember Scarlett Johansson and Her, there's those kind of voice acting. But I don't oppose motion capture but it's still got some ways to go to get more people. It can't just be Andy Serkis every year,
right? Yeah, it does still have that kind of novelty to it at this point. That even though every year it's an
although
improvement
I
over
would
the
have,
last, but
one of the big snubs that I think is I would have nominated Andy Serkis for Two Towers for a supporting actor. Just let him in there with the other nominees. I would have gone with that.
What are some of the biggest snubs in Oscar history by your account?
Well, the first Best Picture award winner was this movie called Wings.
I've never seen it, but yeah.
Who directed that? Gary Cooper is in it. The only two silent movies to ever win Best Picture was The Wings, the very first winner. And The Artist. Holy crap. Those are the only two.
That's nuts. Wings was directed by William Wellman.
That's who it was.
Yeah. It's interesting because, he directed the 1937 A Star is Born.
The very first Best Picture winner probably should have been Metropolis.
Oh, yeah.
From Fritz Lang. And I would have nominated, there's this Danish movie from back then, The Passion of Joan of Arc.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Carl Dreyer, which is magnificent, and that would have been a good first best actress winner, Renee Falconetti, who I don't think was even an actress. I don't think she ever made another movie.
Wow.
And she's brilliant in that. The 1931, Frankenstein comes out. Didn't get zip.
God.
Which could have taken Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Boris Karloff, Best Art Direction, probably Best Adapted Screenplay. It's just, and you know what? Bride of Frankenstein was another one that did not get any Academy love. That same year, 1931, Chaplin put out City Lights.
Oh God.
No Oscars.
See, no
nominations.
That was the first in the comedy challenge that I'm doing, and that was my first Charlie Chaplin movie, and it blew me away. And it was my first, I want to say my first feature length silent film, and I was blown away by it. Just the emotion of it, and I'm a sucker for rom-coms too, so that was super nice. But yeah, that's a shame.
He and the Academy didn't have a great relationship, I don't think. Yeah. It didn't help that he was, at some point he got banned from the country for decades.
That's right. I just watched The Great Dictator, a few days ago, and it blew me away. So I'm really looking forward to watching more Charlie Chaplin.
Cause Chaplin was nominated for Best Director for the first ceremony. But then that nomination was rescinded, and I don't remember why. But Chaplin was a bit of a troublemaker, and
right.
His films, Modern Times, Great Dictator, City Lights, you would think they would have been Academy darlings. They were.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They were not.
Jeez.
There's this another German movie from Fritz Lang, M.
I've heard about that. Again, it's another blind spot for me.
Which is Peter Lorre's finest screen hour, and that could have been a great Best Picture Director, Actor trifecta.
Jeez.
The Marx Brothers never got any Academy love.
Wow.
And I would totally...
They did Duck Soup, right?
Yes, and I totally would have given all of them the Best Actor award for Duck Soup.
I've said that's in 2 or 3 weeks on my comedy challenge, so I'm very much looking forward to that.
The Cannes Film Festival will give Best Actor and Actress awards to groups sometimes.
Okay. Sure. Do you think there should be an ensemble award for the Oscars?
Probably. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But then it'd be hard to kind of think it'd be a challenge differentiating that from like Best Picture.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, and then one of the best B movie ever made, King Kong, not nominated for a single thing.
God.
You got to wonder how some of these people felt when these movies became so iconic and everything, and they didn't bother with them.
I was really excited because when Filmstruck was a thing, I had subscribed to it for like a month, and then I just have a bunch of other streaming services, so I just kind of canceled it. And then when that shuttered, they announced that the Criterion channel was going to come out, and they did like a charter thing where like, oh, if you sign up now, you'll get, we'll give you discounts and everything when we launch the channel. So like I signed up for the mailing list and everything, and then a couple of weeks after Filmstruck closed down, like they just sent like a digital codes for 4 classic movies. One was King Kong, one was the 1937 A Star Is Born, The Adventures Robin Hood, and Casablanca. So I was like, I'm super excited to watch that. And I think Singing in the Rain was there too. Yeah, Singing in the Rain.
Singing in the Rain was another one that I really just ignored.
Did it really?
It got 2 nominations, one of which was for Gene Hagen.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think any of its songs
that's insane.
Nominated although not a lot of them I think were written for the movie. Like Singing in the Rain actually existed long before they ever made it.
Mm-hmm. It was like the second or third movie that it appeared in, I think.
Yeah.
God, what is his name? What is the?
But that's been one of the greatest sins of the Academy too, is that Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire never really got their due.
Yeah.
Jeez. I don't think Gene Kelly even got an honorary award. Fred Astaire did, but I don't think Gene Kelly did. And it's really
That's a shame.
And it's really dumb. Like, sure, they did musicals. They were dancing. A lot of the performance was dancing and singing. But, they gave a Best Actor award to Rex Harrison for My Fair Lady.
Jeez.
Not a lot of people remember that.
And, like, the amount of work that went into, like, those performances. Like, Singing in the Rain, I was just gobsmacked by just how energetic and just well done it was.
Gene Kelly apparently had a cold when they actually did the Singing in the Rain sequence.
Nice.
Jeez. But yeah, and I know Fred Astaire was actually nominated once for The Towering Inferno.
Oh God.
In the 1970s.
Wow.
I think that was his only Oscar nomination.
Jeez.
One of
God,
some of my favorite performances ever were not Oscar nominated at all.
Okay.
Of course, Katharine Hepburn has won more Oscars than any other actor in history. She won 4.
Jeez.
Some of them, a few have 3. Nobody has 4 except Kate Hepburn.
Wow.
And in the same category too.
Huh. I didn't know that. Interesting.
But they didn't really they never really awarded her for her best stuff.
Jeez.
I would say The Lion in Winter is probably the one she got that was like one of her really best ones.
Okay.
But her and Cary Grant did this great movie called Bringing Up Baby.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And she's just beautiful in it. She's manic, she's insane, crazy.
Jeez.
She's a little like that Katharine Hepburn you meet in The Aviator.
Okay. I need to see that again.
Just wildly entertaining. It's one of the best comedy performances ever. And I think Bringing Up Baby was just completely ignored by the Oscars.
Jeez.
Another one I really love is Rosalind Russell in the movie His Girl Friday.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
Which is another one with Cary Grant.
Yeah.
And another Howard Hawks movie.
Okay, yeah, Howard Hawks.
It wasn't even nominated for its screenplay, which is like the fastest freaking dialogue you'll ever hear in a movie. There's this great scene of Rosalind Russell. She plays a reporter. I mean, she's working like 2 phones at once. It's nuts.
God.
And it just all rolls off the tongue with both of them. Speaking of Cary Grant, he was in a movie Notorious for Alfred Hitchcock.
Okay, yeah.
Happens to be my favorite of his that I think should have been nominated. I think Cary Grant only ever got 2 nominations in his whole career.
Wow.
For really subpar movies, too.
It's crazy that, like, these, like, iconic figures in cinema history, like, are not as well regarded by the Academy in their time.
He got an honorary award in the 70s or 80s.
Jeez.
Edward G. Robinson was never nominated.
Huh.
And he definitely should have been for the movie Double Indemnity.
Okay, yeah.
He just chews on that dialogue. He's in love with that role he's got.
Nice.
He did get an honorary award, I think shortly before he passed away.
Mm.
Do you know Edward G. Robinson?
Not off the top. I don't know if I've seen anything. Okay. Nice.
When Hank Azaria does Chief Wiggum, he's basically doing a bad Edward G. Robinson.
Nice.
Ah, yeah. See, if you've ever seen the 10 Commandments,
okay, that's on my list.
He's in that, and he has that line.
Jeez.
Where's your Messiah now? Eh? And I think it's Billy Crystal that has a stand-up bit where he's just talking about, like, why is there a guy with a Brooklyn accent in ancient Egypt?
Awesome. God.
Humphrey Bogart did get Oscar nominations and even won once.
Nice.
Although he was in the movie The Treasure of the Sierra Madre,
mm-hmm.
and he's fucking amazing in that. He's a villain.
I haven't seen that since high school. I really need to watch it.
Bogey kind of started as a villain in his early movies.
Okay.
And then he became like the cynical hero, and then he got to Treasure of Sierra Madre, he got to be like the scary villain.
Nice.
He was also really great in this movie for Nicholas Ray called In a Lonely Place.
Okay.
Where he's a sad villain. Like, he's a screenwriter who may have murdered this woman, and
nice.
It's kind of like Bogey tearing down his image.
That's awesome.
It's a really, really beautiful movie.
Nice.
Alec Guinness, who we all know has genuine class.
Yes.
He is an Oscar winner, Bridge on the River Kwai. But one of his first movies, he was in this movie called Kind Hearts and Coronets.
Okay.
Which is about this man from a very rich family who finds out that he stands to inherit the fortune, but he has like 8 other relatives before him.
Okay.
So he decides to kill them all.
Huh.
And he does so one by one. Each relative, including the women, are all played by Alec Guinness.
Oh,
it's
that's
so
awesome.
funny. It's so funny. Robin Williams attempted to make a remake of this.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm glad he never did.
Yeah.
But yes, masterful acting on the part of Guinness, and it was that was an Oscar-worthy performance.
That's
right
crazy.
there.
Nice.
The great James Cagney, he won an Oscar, Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Okay.
He was best known for the gangster movies. You dirty rat, you killed my brother. And his last gangster movie was his movie called White Heat.
Okay, yeah. I haven't seen it, but
he's just a complete psycho. I mean, Cagney is the precursor to like Jack Nicholson and
that's awesome.
every actor who's played the Joker.
Right.
And he's got that famous scene at the end of that movie where he literally goes out in flames, and he's like, he's in a factory, I think, it's exploding around him, and he's just like, top of the world, ma, and boom, and then the movie is over.
That's awesome.
And then there is The Searchers.
That is coming up. Like, I'm doing a director challenge also on Letterboxd. Like, that's my first basically the director's challenge. I've picked 20 directors, and I'm basically each round I'm doing like a movie I haven't seen from each one. And then as I go through each round, I finish like watching all of Wes Anderson movies. He's going to be eliminated from the list and everything. But John Ford is on there, and The Searchers is...
John Ford made over 200 movies. I don't even know if all of them are available.
Yeah, it's going to be a long project. But yeah, The Searchers was the first pick. First pick, because
John Ford won more directing Oscars than anyone else. Nice. He won 4.
Jeez.
And yet The Searchers was his masterpiece, and it didn't get a single nomination.
God.
And that's John Wayne's best performance ever.
Jeez.
I mean, that movie just breaks my heart to watch it. a lot of people just really loathe John Wayne.
Right.
A lot of people won't watch anything but John Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
And I think both sides sell them short. I mean, John Wayne was much more complex as an actor than people give him credit for.
Yeah.
And The Searchers is definitely where you see that.
Nice.
There's, of course, Kurosawa. He did get some Oscar nominations.
Nice.
I don't think he was ever Best Director. But, Seven Samurai definitely should have probably won Best Picture when it came out. And its star, Toshiro Mifune, I mean, that guy could have given bogey lessons. He was magnificent.
Yeah. I loved the, kind of working relationship between him and Kurosawa, like throughout their careers. Like they, like that is such a great, like, filmmaker and muse kind of relationship, from what I've seen of him. Just really great. I know that I don't know what they're actually called, but like the Japanese equivalent of the Oscars, Godzilla won over Seven Samurai that year.
Really?
Yeah. Which Godzilla is amazing. Like the original it's like an incredible movie, but I'm like, Seven Samurai, man, yeah. But I mean, you know.
I actually think, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs should have been a Best Picture winner. The time it came out. I mean, it totally changed the game. Nobody thought it was going to be successful.
Wow.
Nobody. Everybody was like, who's going to watch a cartoon for that long?
Right. Jeez.
Of course, Walt Disney nobody won more Oscars than Walt Disney.
Huh.
I don't even know how many he has.
That's insane. That makes sense.
I don't think anyone got more nominations than Walt Disney, too.
Jeez.
There's this movie called Night of the Hunter, from Charles Lawton. Only movie he ever directed for some reason.
Oh, wow.
And Robert Mitchum is a total monster in it.
Huh. Nice.
He's, terrorizing these children because they have this doll that has, some money in it, stolen money in it, and he is trying to get it. He marries their mother, played by Shelley Winters, murders her, and then he goes after the children. And, wow. It's really a scary movie, and his character's name is Reverend Harry Powell. And he's just a complete monster. He has love tattooed on one knuckles, hate on the other. And,
Jeez.
I don't think Robert Mitchum ever actually got nominated for an Oscar in his time, which is very sad. And if he got one, it should have been Night of the Hunter.
Jeez.
Hitchcock amazingly did not get a lot of love from the Oscars.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask. Like last year, I watched a kind of a refresher course on different Hitchcock movies, rewatching and watching for the first time a lot of them, and like I mean, he's deserving of the acclaim that he has. Like he's an institution.
I would have at least given him 2, for Vertigo and Psycho.
Mm-hmm.
Vertigo definitely should have been a Best Picture winner.
Yeah.
And James Stewart definitely should have at least been a nominee. I don't know if I would have given it to him. But, that might be James Stewart's greatest performance, and Oscar just was probably too scared by it.
Yeah.
I mean, Hitchcock,
Jeez.
Rebecca is his only movie that ever won.
That's right.
Best Picture,
That's
which
one of my
beat out
blind
another
spots,
one
too.
of his movies. He had 2 movies nominated that same year.
Huh. What was the other one?
Foreign Correspondent, I think.
Oh, okay. Oh, I love Foreign Correspondent.
Cause yes, the Oscars used to nominate more than 5 in the beginning. Huh. I think the most Best Picture nominations ever were like 14.
Oh my God.
But sometimes it would be like a dozen.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And yeah, and Hitchcock did get he got an honorary award.
Mm-hmm.
And that was about it. In fact, and his actors rarely got nominated either. I still think it's a damn shame Anthony Perkins was never nominated for Psycho. Janet Leigh was. Perkins was not.
That's good.
And then like Joan Fontaine is the only actor who ever won an Oscar for a Hitchcock movie.
Wow. That's nuts. That's nuts. Like Anthony Perkins, like that's one of the iconic roles in like horror, and suspense. Like it's so good.
Marilyn Monroe never nominated for an Oscar.
I just watched my first Marilyn Monroe movie last night. Gentlemen Prefer Blondes with her and Jane Russell.
Mm-hmm.
Like watching it, I was like, I totally get why she was like this, like huge sex symbol. Like she is just incredible. And I had always thought like, I had always thought that like, she was just like, just a sex symbol. Like she did, like I was under the impression that she didn't really have that much like talent, but she did a really good job in that kind of.
You're thinking of Jane Mansfield. No, that's mean. That's mean. Some Like It Hot. You know, that movie encapsulates everything about Monroe. Everything that made her great and everything that made her tragic.
Yeah.
I think Jack Lemmon did get nominated for that one.
Okay.
Deservedly. But yeah, it's like Marilyn Monroe never did get nominated for a single Oscar.
Jeez.
Another movie that's very iconic that amazingly got very little Oscar love, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Huh.
I think was nominated for its music, the score.
Okay. And that's the only nomination?
I think there was another one. I can't remember what it was. But I mean, I probably would have given it the Best Picture award. It definitely was a nominee. Gene Wilder definitely should have been a supporting actor nominee.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, its set design, the cinematography, the editing, the makeup design, the music, the songs. Mm-hmm. That's the most surprising thing is the songs were not nominated. Yeah. None of the songs.
That is insane. Another
one from the 1970s, the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I've still never seen that. And it's such a big, like, blind spot for me.
I think only, like, 2 of the songs were written for the movie. Mm-hmm. Of course, it was ignored. Everyone ignored it when it came out.
Sure.
Tim Curry definitely should have been an Oscar nominee, Best Supporting Actor. I mean, that is a performance that changes people's lives when they see it.
Yeah.
And it has been doing that for decades now.
They did like a TV show, like adaptation or not reboot, or they did something on TV like a few years ago with Rocky Horror.
Oh, they did a show, like a stage show, but for one, it wasn't live, and I don't know what the whole point of it was. I never saw it.
Okay.
And then A Christmas Story, was one that just never. There's no Oscar love on that one. Another one, Best Picture, production design, editing, the score. Melinda Dillon probably could have been a great contender. She's a 2-time Oscar nominee.
Nice.
And I don't think it would have been a stretch to nominate her for that. I mean, she's, as far as acting goes in A Christmas Story, hers is the performance I remember the best.
Yeah. I was just never a fan of A Christmas Story. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just oversaturating in my life, like as a kid, like just seeing it too many times.
My hot take on A Christmas Story is that you can take the narration out and it would be just as good. I don't know why. Something about the narration bothers me.
Sure.
I really don't know why. I think it might have been like years of, having a lot of white dude friends who treat it like it's sacred text.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, it's not that great.
Right. Jeez.
I don't know. One of the more unorthodox performances I think should have been an Oscar contender was Divine. I don't know if you know who Divine is.
No.
He was a 300-pound drag queen.
Oh, wow.
Or maybe trans. I don't know what he would consider himself now. But he made films with John Waters.
Oh, okay.
Pink Flamingos, Polyester, Desperate Living. He was in the original Hairspray. He was the original Edna Turnblad.
Okay.
The mom. And he also plays the TV station owner, the racist TV station owner, Arvin something. And so there's 2 different versions of Divine in the movie. And he's great and definitely should have been an Oscar thing.
Huh.
I've always loved Vincent D'Onofrio as an actor, and he's never been nominated, and he definitely should have been recognized for Full Metal Jacket.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like that, I've seen Full Metal Jacket maybe 3 times in my life, like from beginning to end. And like my parents, were Marines, and like my dad and my brother, like, love the first act of Full Metal Jacket, but they're not they wouldn't, like, I don't know. They only watch it for the authenticity of the boot camp stuff. But, so I saw that like a lot growing up, and just like the haunting performance of Vincent D'Onofrio is just incredible.
I think he's always great, and it's still hard for me to believe he's that same guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. God, just iconic. It's funny because we were just talking about how Kubrick didn't really go for performances or anything,
right?
But yeah.
I would have nominated Malcolm McDowell for Best Actor for A Clockwork Orange, because that's another performance that just really gets under your skin and stays with you. Oh, so is Michael Rooker in Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Yeah, that movie kind of messed me up a little bit.
That's one of those that I see once and I'm like, that's really great. I don't want to see it again though.
Oh yeah. It's that kind of, it goes against like my memory of it, at least goes against like just conventional like filmmaking and storytelling in film, because it's just like, it's so just, you're there with them, and it's just so that's what gets under my skin. Is it so? It feels so authentic.
What was the big movie from that era that covered the same ground? Natural Born Killers.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a little more toxic than anything.
Right.
As thematically, I'm not with Natural Born Killers. I think it's very kind of hypocritical.
I honestly don't think I've seen it from beginning to end. If I have, it was when I was a kid, but it seems more like stylized than anything.
That's the only reason I love it.
My interpretation of it. Oh, really? Interesting.
I love that Stone switches up all those styles, and he does it just so frenetically.
Yeah.
And I love that. I appreciate that. But thematically, the point he's trying to make, he doesn't do it. Okay. He doesn't do it very well at all. Although I have a weird connection with Natural Born Killers. It's just, they shot the prison scenes at Statesville Prison in Illinois, and I had an uncle locked up there at the time. Wow. I think maybe he might still be there. I don't even know. Huh. But he was going to be an extra.
Oh shit.
And he wasn't, it didn't happen because he was deemed too much of a security risk, because he escaped prison once before.
Oh shit.
And
that's wow.
So they didn't let him do it, but he did meet Oliver Stone, and he got Oliver Stone signed a pair of sneakers for him. And
that's pretty cool.
About 2 years later, he escaped jail again. And
God.
I remember reading a police report about all that stuff, specifically mentioning that he was wearing the same sneakers that Oliver Stone signed for him.
Wow. That's kind of amazing.
It's just bizarre every time I see that movie.
Jeez.
One movie from the 80s that is crazy good that I love, Airplane.
Oh, yeah. Iconic. Yeah.
The Academy, they got their thing with comedy that they don't.
Yeah. Do you think there should be like a separate category for like different genres?
I don't know.
Yeah. Because it's always the same that like, and I mean, this could easily kind of veer off into like, oh, popular movie, but like, I mean, they're so clearly defined, like genre movies are a thing, like it should be kind of celebrated. Because like I said, anytime there's a horror movie that transcends the horror trappings to actually be good, there's such a campaign to discredit it as a horror movie and say, oh, no, this is actually a thriller. She chops off her head with piano wire, but it's a thriller.
It's a family film.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what Hereditary is. It's a family drama.
Yeah. And it's just such a kind of a demeaning thing, kind of like turn your nose up at genre movies because they're not prestigious enough. But like, I feel like there should be a place for hell, horror, action, comedy, like those types of movies use different skill sets that, like, I don't know, maybe, yeah.
Well, one of the best comedic performances ever that did not get any Oscar love was Steve Martin in this movie called All of Me.
Huh. I don't think I've heard of that movie.
I'm gonna do bad on the. He plays some guy that gets the spirit of a dead woman, played by Lily Tomlin, like it possesses him or something.
Okay.
And he's kind of like split down the middle, where half of him is her and half of him is him.
Huh.
And it's his finest screen hour. Just really makes the case for his genius. I think there actually was a lot of lobbying to have him nominated, and it did not happen.
Huh.
And another couple of other genre film performances. I really love Jeff Goldblum in The Fly.
Oh, interesting.
Jeff Goldblum never nominated once for an Oscar. If he deserved any recognition, it definitely was for The Fly.
Again, another list that I have going. My co-host Mike, he's a horror junkie. He is a horror movie expert. So, I've kind of gotten away from horror movies. So I was like, hey, make me a list of 20 essential horror movies that I should watch that I haven't seen yet. And, I've been working my way through that. He put them in order, and number 1 is The Fly. So I'm going from 20 to 1. We're actually going to do a series on the podcast about it for later this year. But
another one that's from Cronenberg, Dead Ringers, which has Jeremy Irons in it as these twins who are both gynecologists, and it's really it might be Cronenberg's very best. It doesn't get enough love, but Jeremy Irons in it is just masterful. Of course, he was he did win Best Actor eventually. But yeah.
What did he win for?
Reversal of Fortune.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got nothing. Huh.
And then there is what I still think is the greatest comic book movie performance of all time, Michelle Pfeiffer in Batman Returns.
Huh.
Really, really should have been Oscar nominated on that one.
Interesting.
She makes that whole movie.
Sure. It's just, I don't know. My head is cloudy with Heath Ledger as the Joker, but that's interesting. I don't remember much about Batman Returns.
What Selena Kyle is basically a schizo in the movie.
Yeah, that's right.
And who would have thought to approach that character that way? No, nobody had ever seen that. Nobody has ever done it. Batman Returns is a lot richer thematically than a lot of people let on. I mean, of course, we were children. Right? Yeah, we were children when it came out.
Yeah.
So when you're a kid, it's like a lot of the Penguin stuff really sticks out for you. And as you get older, you realize there's a lot to what's happening with Michelle Pfeiffer here.
Interesting.
And I think it's incredible. I think it's just the best performance you've ever seen in a comic book movie.
Wow.
Heath Ledger's close behind. I would also give Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder. But nah, and then it doesn't hurt that Michelle Pfeiffer is beautiful.
Well, yeah.
Looks great as Catwoman. And then I've got, one of my all-time favorite movies is The Purple Rose of Cairo.
Okay. One of my blind spots.
Woody Allen. And, I think it's Mia Farrow's best. Some people say Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
I just adore Mia Farrow in Purple Rose of Cairo. Just absolutely adore her.
Huh.
It's weird to me that in the 1980s, The Terminator and A Nightmare on Elm Street didn't get any recognition for visual effects.
That is interesting.
Not even Terminator, which was done by Stan Winston.
Yeah.
Oscar darling.
That's insane. And Nightmare on Elm Street, I almost said Nightmare on Edgewood. Nightmare on Elm Street, like that, visually it's amazing. Like it's really, like, for a movie that could be dated. It kind of has that weird kind of like, it feels dated, but it's not dated enough to where it feels schlocky. It's still like visually interesting. And it also works that it's, Freddy isn't doing his little one-liners.
I do think that, I do think Robert Englund deserves an honorary Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
Wes Craven as well, but yes, Robert Englund, definitely. There's a movie called Harold and Maude.
Oh yeah.
Ruth Gordon in that. It's one of the most amazing performances I've ever seen. I don't think Harold and Maude got any sort of recognition.
I feel like it didn't.
Very much a cult movie, and but Ruth Gordon, that's one of the great overlooked. I would have given it to her too.
Yeah.
The 80s and 70s are hard with the Best Actress categories because there's a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah.
And I also do think that John Waters should get an honorary award someday.
I don't know if I've ever seen any John Waters movies or anything. I don't
Pecker?
think I've seen. Nope.
No. Serial Mom?
Oh, Serial Mom. I think that's the one that I've seen. Very fun. Very fun.
Well, after his 70s heyday, he just didn't make much. He did Hairspray, which was very successful. He made a few in the 90s, and then that was really it.
He also appears in a Lonely Island music video.
Yep.
So,
and he is he's one of the great maverick artists of cinema, and he definitely should have an honorary award. They need to give one to Bruce Lee. I don't know the rules of the honorary awards. Do they have to be alive? I'm not sure on
that. Yeah, because when you mentioned Wes Craven, I was thinking, like, can they do a posthumous?
Because as far as I know, everyone who has ever received an honorary award has been alive.
Huh.
So I'm not sure what the rules are on that, which is why I think it's really bad on the Academy's part that Doris Day has yet to get one.
Oh, yeah.
She's like 95.
Jeez.
And I don't understand what the deal is that they have not given her an honorary Oscar.
Right.
It's really crazy.
Jeez.
Yeah, there's just a... Oh, and then I want to mention, the movie Don't Look Now from Nicholas Roeg, who passed away a few months ago.
Okay.
Definitely should have been a Best Picture, Best Director, cinematography, and editing. That one is, and also Donald Sutherland, I don't think has ever been nominated for
I feel like
Oscar.
he hasn't. Yeah.
He definitely should have been for Ordinary People. But Don't Look Now is the one with him and Julie Christie in Venice, and they just lost their daughter.
Okay.
There's a serial killer happening, and Sutherland seems to think that his daughter might still be. It's weird. It's a weird movie.
Sure. Huh.
It's a weird story written by Daphne du Maurier, who wrote Rebecca and the Birds that Hitchcock turned into movies.
Yeah. I love the Birds. That's my contribution.
Tippi Hedren, she's still with us too.
Yeah. My mom was like in the Marines with her or like her cousin or like she met Tippi Hedren or something. But yeah. So, any other snubs this year? Any predictions? Like, how do you feel about the big categories?
I think a lot of the suspense is on the Best Actress award. Glenn Close won the SAG award last week. I still think Lady Gaga is going to win the Oscar.
Interesting, because when we did our Oscar episode a couple days ago, the kind of consensus in that conversation was that Glenn Close would get it for kind of a legacy one, which the Oscars are.
I want Glenn Close to win. I just don't think she will.
Have you
especially after the SAG Awards?
Oh yeah, have you seen The Wife?
Oh yeah, it's wonderful.
Okay, nice.
And Glenn Close, she's just another one of those. Underrated. I think this is her 7th nomination in 4 decades. And she was first nominated way back in the mid 80s or something.
That's nuts.
And because the SAG Awards are a pretty good indicator of who's going to win,
Right.
but the Best Actress race is not. They don't always get that one. I mean, I remember Meryl Streep winning the SAG Award, and then Kate Winslet won the Oscar.
Okay.
I remember Julie Christie getting the SAG Award, and then Marion Cotillard won the Oscar.
Wow.
So, because I was actually hoping Gaga would win the SAG Award.
Yeah.
Because then I'd be like, oh, now
Right.
Glenn Close will win. So yeah, I still think it'll be Lady Gaga stands to win 2 Oscars that night.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm super confident that, I mean, Shallow is a shoo-in.
She will definitely get that.
Yeah. Oh,
and if she wins
absolutely.
both, sorry, Barbara. Barbara, this is the 4th A Star Is Born.
Right.
And Barbara Streisand was the only one not nominated for Best Actress.
Wow.
Janet Gaynor, Judy Garland, and now Gaga were all nominated. Streisand was
Jeez.
not.
Have any of them won, though?
No.
Okay.
And if any of them should have, it was Garland, and
Oh, yeah.
she lost to Grace Kelly.
Jeez. But yeah, Lady Gaga, I would be ecstatic if she won. 'Cause I think, like, for whatever reason, I wasn't too keen on the movie itself. Like, I thought it was a fine movie. But her performance is really what sold it for me, and what really made me kind of taken with the movie.
I love that movie seemed to come from a whole nother time,
Yeah.
and it still worked.
Oh yeah.
Still worked.
yeah.
I liked Bradley Cooper's what was essentially an Eddie Vedder impression.
Yeah.
I don't think Sam Elliott should have been nominated.
Okay.
I wouldn't have chosen him. He's fine. I just wouldn't have chosen
I
him.
love Sam Elliott. Like, he's great, but I don't get the kind of fervor over his performance in A Star Is Born. I just don't get it.
What was it in 2017? He was in this movie called The Hero, which was
Yeah.
really good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that should have got him some awards attention.
Yeah, he's fantastic, but I'm just like, okay, I wasn't, like, people are saying like, oh, I was in tears and this one scene, I'm like, it's okay. Yeah, sure. But yeah, I tweeted this, but, I do find myself, trying to do a really bad Jackson Maine, impression to my cat. So I'm constantly like saying like, hey, I just want to take another look at you. And then that devolves into just guttural like gibberish as I try to get deeper and deeper into the voice. Like,
what also amuses me about this Best Actress race is that I swear it mirrors an episode of Gem and the Holograms.
Oh, really? Okay.
Do you remember that show?
I don't. I remember the movie that came out a couple years ago, but I never saw it.
A rock star named Gem. And, and there was an episode where she made a movie and she got nominated for Best Actress. And I think one of the other nominees at the time was supposed to be like a version of Glenn Close. There was definitely versions of like Sigourney Weaver and Meryl Streep.
Okay.
And they're all on this talk show, and then one of them is like, well, where did you study acting? And one of them is just really taking umbrage with the fact that she's a nominee. She does not win. Gem does not win, but
Spoiler alert.
I think Gaga is going to probably win.
Nice. I hope so. I think she's maybe my pick. Yeah. Cause Amy Adams is supporting.
Yes.
Which that also...
Now that supporting actress race is kind of a little wide open because the SAG Awards, they gave it to Emily Blunt for A Quiet Place.
Yeah. Huh.
And Emily Blunt is not nominated for an Oscar.
Right.
And the SAG Awards did not nominate Regina King either. So I'm rooting for Regina King.
Yeah.
I really want to see her win. Maybe it'll be Amy Adams. It's really tough to say.
It feels like
this is the sixth time for Amy Adams.
Yeah, that's that. It kind of feels like they'll just kind of.
And it feels a little bit like Kate Winslet circa 2008, where they were like, we should just give it to her already.
Yeah. supporting actor, that category, like, I'm so pissed that Brian Tyree Henry didn't get nominated for Beale Street. Because like he's not in it that long, but like that one scene, like that one monologue he gives is like one of the most like gripping and tragic kind of monologues I've seen in any movie of last year.
It's so weird with the timing thing.
Yeah.
Judi Dench won for Shakespeare in Love, and I think she's in it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins doesn't even have that much screen time in Silence of the Lambs. And he won a Best Actor award.
Jesus, that's true.
That's how impressionable he was.
Good God.
And of course, the one that really amuses me is Beatrice Straight, who won the Best Supporting Actress award for Network for one scene, and she doesn't even speak for most of it.
Jesus.
Most of the scene is her at the table being told by her husband that he cheated on her. So yeah.
That's fantastic.
I really thought this was going to be it for Richard E. Grant. I thought he was going to win.
I've heard great things about his performance.
And then Mahershala Ali just came in like a truck.
To Mahershala Ali's credit, I didn't like the movie, but that performance was really good. I liked his performance.
There are no choices among those nominees where I thought that's stupid. Why did they do that? It's not like in 2014 when they nominated Robert Duvall for The Judge, which is a terrible movie.
Right.
Oh,
God.
Or when Meryl Streep was nominated for Into the Woods, which was just okay. Or when she was nominated for August Osage County, which was okay, barely.
Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm okay. Mahershala Ali, he's killing it on True Detective right now.
I haven't started True Detective. I'm waiting for the season to be done. Is it as good as people are saying?
I like it.
Yeah. And like,
I don't remember anything that happened in season 2. So, yeah.
I think everyone feels the same way. Yeah.
But I wish Timothée Chalamet were among those nominees, and I wish Michael B. Jordan and John C. Reilly were among those nominees.
Yep.
I don't think I would have chosen Mahershala Ali to begin with.
Sure.
And then we know Rami Malek will win Best Actor.
How do you feel about his
didn't really see that coming.
Yeah. And
it's fine. It's fine, but Bohemian Rhapsody is like, it's a Wikipedia page as movie.
Yeah. Like the performance scenes were like visually like the Live Aid sequence was amazing, but other than that,
the Live Aid sequence, it is great, but it feels redundant to me because you can watch the actual one.
True. Have you seen the clip that's been kind of running around like on Twitter? That's just the clip of them meeting with Aiden, the guy from Game of Thrones, Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. They're meeting with him, and like it's like this movie's nominated for best editing, and like someone timed it. There's like in that 1.5-minute clip, there's like 56 cuts. Each cut is an average of like 1.5 seconds. It is editorial, or in terms of the editing, it makes no goddamn sense. And I don't know. I think that kind of speaks to...
I watched that movie online. I didn't even pay for it. You know how it is? I saw over 200 movies in 2018. I didn't pay for all of them. A lot of them are on video on demand. A lot of them are on Netflix and Hulu.
Jeez.
But yeah, I mean, I would love to see Willem Dafoe win that Best Actor award.
How is At Eternity's Gate?
It's brilliant. He is the best Van Gogh I've ever seen on screen. Sorry, Tim Roth. Sorry, Kirk Douglas. Sorry, that guy from Doctor Who.
Sure.
Yeah, At Eternity's Gate it's a marvelous movie.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I wanted to say about the best makeup category has a little bit of a dark horse in it. There's a Swedish movie nominated called Border.
I've heard about that movie, but I haven't heard about it, if that makes sense. Like I've heard that like you need to go in blind because it's kind of trippy and fucked up.
It is disturbing.
Okay.
And also just kind of hypnotic and haunting. It played here in Indy for like 1 week.
Yeah.
That was one of those movies that just hit theaters and just the one theater and just played a week.
Right.
But if you do have an opportunity to see it, you should see it since it just came out of nowhere and got nominated for Best Makeup Design.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very surprised, actually, that The Favorite was not nominated in that category.
Yeah. And I have such a weird relationship with Yorgos Lanthimos. I haven't seen Alps or The Lobster, but Dogtooth and Killing of a Sacred Deer are just so bizarre and weird, and like that's to his credit in my eyes, but it's also like I don't know if I get him.
To me, he's a little like if Ingmar Bergman had more of a sense of humor.
Okay, sure. And I know you're a huge Ingmar Bergman fan. I've not seen any of his movies. That's one of my kind of goals for 2019.
But of course, The Favorite is the only one he's made that he didn't write.
Exactly. And it is also, from like my limited understanding of his, well, I've seen most of his movies, it's the most accessible.
But it's no less him, and it's like, why can't all period movies be this great?
Yeah. I saw it, and then like a week or two, I think it may have been upwards of a month later, I tried to see Mary Queen of Scots, and like the circumstances weren't great. Like I just got off of work, and I was in the theater, and it was just, I was tired, and the sound kept clipping and getting like cutting out and everything.
This is Mary Queen of Scots?
Yeah. And so I was just like, I'm okay with not watching this, and I just left.
That's another one, if there was not so many other stronger choices, that the acting could have been up for some awards.
Okay.
As a movie, it's pretty like typical. But Saoirse Ronan and Margot Robbie are very much, they're great in it. They're very illuminating.
I saw a tweet that someone tweeted and said that releasing Mary Queen of Scots so soon after The Favorite is like releasing the latest airport movie after Airplane.
I saw them both in the same day too.
Oh, really? Interesting.
I saw them. I saw The Favorite last. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
My favorite Oscar nominees, just because of the like randomness of them.
Sure.
I love the fact that way back in like 2007, Norbit was nominated for Best Makeup.
Jesus. Okay.
Which Academy voters hated that movie. I remember there was articles saying like Academy voters just hated seeing the billboards and stuff for it, and they were like, I'm not voting for Eddie Murphy for an Oscar now because he was up for Dreamgirls.
Oh yeah. Jesus.
And it just trips me out that it got there. I remember writing in college, I wasn't yet on the newspaper staff, but they asked if I would write an Oscar thing for them, so I did. Nice. And that was like the last thing I mentioned, like, congratulations, Norbit.
Nice.
And then I love that, I also love that professional psychopath Gary Busey is an Oscar-nominated actor.
Oh, God. What was he nominated for?
The Buddy Holly Story.
Oh, wow.
In the late 70s.
Jesus.
Good movie.
Huh.
But yes, Gary Busey.
Wow.
Oscar nominee. Randy Quaid, another psycho, is like a two or three-time Oscar nominee.
My God.
And yet Dennis Quaid never once nominated.
Jeez.
That is messed up.
That's ridiculous. Huh.
Probably my favorite ever Oscar fact. Well, now I have a favorite Oscar fact. Adam Driver is the first Oscar nominee I've ever went to school with.
Yeah.
I've ever had a drink with.
That's awesome. So let's get into the dirt of Adam Driver. You can give me any dirt on Kirsten. Let's.
I didn't know Adam very well.
Sure.
Adam was like 21 or 22. We were both freshmen.
Okay.
But he was already like 21 or 22 because he had gone to the Marines.
Oh, I did not know that about him.
And he was discharged because of an injury.
Huh.
And that's what brought him, that's what made him decide, I guess, to go to UND.
Okay.
And do theater.
And I know he went to Juilliard shortly after that.
So, I was an 18-year-old, and there was not a lot that Adam and I were going to relate to,
Right.
to one another.
Sure.
So yeah, and he was, I lived on the campus, he did not.
Okay.
So I never really saw a lot of him.
Mm-hmm.
He did 2 shows while he was there. He did Pippin, he did Endgame. And,
Nice.
yeah, he was only with us for 2 semesters. I had 1 class with him. We
Okay.
took an improv class.
Nice.
I don't know if you know Matt Sosi.
No.
He's on WFYI. He's on NPR, local NPR. He does a radio show. He's a
Okay.
movie critic as well.
Okay.
He's one of the few
Oh,
people. He's one of the few people I know that can go toe to toe with me.
I
on movie
do
talk.
know him. He's on the Indiana Film Journalists Association.
Probably.
Yeah. Oh,
And,
okay, yeah.
Well, his wife, Lynn Perkins, used to be an adjunct at UIndy. She taught
Okay.
some theater classes, and she taught an improv class when I was a freshman. Adam and I were both in that. I remember that was
Nice.
when I was like, we did some dramatic improv, and I remember that, seeing that, thinking like, wow, Adam he is really good.
Nice.
After he went to, the last time I ever saw him and talked to him was my sophomore year at UIndy. We were opening our dinner theater, and he came to see it.
Huh.
And he and I just chit-chatted before the show. And the next time I ever heard anything about him was, I would read about his shows off Broadway in New York.
Oh, nice.
And then I remember the first time I ever spotted him on screen in the movie J. Edgar.
Oh, he was in J. Edgar.
He has a very, very tiny part, one
Okay.
scene. I remember watching it, and he has this very brief part where he's speaking to Leo DiCaprio, and you don't really see his face because there's a lot of sunlight on him.
Sure.
And so the scene goes by, and I'm thinking, what's up with that voice? Why is that familiar to me? And then I, like, 2 nights later, I'm like, could that have been Adam? And I looked it up, like,
Wow.
oh, that is Adam. Okay.
Nice.
Which, what was that, 2011? So yeah, so like
Yeah.
by the next year he was on HBO, and then he was
Jeez.
in Lincoln.
Oh, yeah. With every other actor in existence.
So another Oscar fact that I really get a kick out of
Yeah.
is back in like the 40s, maybe the 30s, there's an actress named Alice Brady was up for Best Supporting Actress. She was too sick to be there.
Mhm.
And when her name was called, this man got up on stage, accepted the award, and left, and nobody knew who he was. Nobody ever got his name,
Wow.
and no one ever found him. And her Oscar had to be replaced.
That is awesome. Holy shit.
Craziest. Everybody talks about the streaker or
Yeah.
Rando's Indian.
Wow.
To me, that's just like the most messed up thing. Like somebody straight up stole an Oscar.
Right. Oh, wow. So do you feel like, and we can kind of wind things down, but do you feel like, how do you feel about the Oscars in general? Like their place in, the kind of cultural, like zeitgeist in terms of like film and everything. Like, do you think that they are a good barometer of, if not the best films of the year, then like what the culture of cinema was that year? Okay.
No. But the great thing about award season is that it opens up people to find films that they otherwise would not have known. Even the ones that don't get nominated, just the award season chatter will expose films to people who otherwise would not have heard of them. And that's the best thing about the Oscars and about award seasons in general. The one thing I would love to kind of see shift with award season, I remember reading this article years ago. Meryl Streep was quoted because it was a time when a lot of award season was not always what it is now.
Right.
And for the people who are actually participating in it, I guess it's very tiring.
Huh. I can imagine.
And I remember reading an article about it. I remember Meryl Streep saying, she said, I would love it if the Oscars happened first. And then you did all the Guild Awards and stuff because that's another thing. We have the Guild Awards now.
Yeah.
And of course, a lot of the voters in the guilds are Academy voters. So when the guilds do their stuff, you just know pretty much who's going to win the Oscar.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And yeah, she's just like, it would be great to have some of the surprise back in the Oscars if we just did it first and and then let all the other stuff happen.
That's really interesting, and I feel like that would really piss off like the people who track that stuff, like they're like a podcast I listen to is devoted to just basically just following award season. And it's just like, it takes so much energy to do that I'm like, I'm good. I'm just, gonna go with the flow.
Cause yeah, it used to just be, there was the Oscars.
Yeah.
Then there was the Golden Globes, which I think started in the late 40s. And then it wasn't until like the 80s, 90s that we have all the guilds now.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I mean, the Directors Guild just had their ceremony last Saturday, and so did the Annie Awards happened.
Oh, right, yeah.
Where Into the Spider-Verse just swept everything it was nominated in.
Yeah. Do you think Spider-Verse should have been nominated for Best Picture?
No. But if Black Panther hadn't happened, yes. Why not?
Fair.
Because I think if not for Black Panther, I think it would have been the best comic book movie we got in 2018. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I could see that getting awards love.
Yeah.
I hope there's a tie with the best animated. I really want Wes Anderson to just get an Oscar.
Yeah, and I need to revisit Isle of Dogs because I liked it. It's that quirky Wes Anderson vibe. And like I'm usually like a big like sucker for Pixar, but Incredibles 2 didn't really do it for me. But I don't know. I would like to see Spider-Verse get it, just because it was such a cool comic book animated movie. They kind of, I don't know if I'd say came out of nowhere because like I knew about it, but like I kind of likened it to when hearing about it in the lead up to it. I kind of thought of it as like, oh, like the Teen Titans Go to the Movies, like kind of a small little like side animated movie. I did not expect it to have the legs that it did. When it came out.
About the animated category, is this? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think it's always been 5 nominees.
Huh.
And this might be a first. Huh. I think usually it could be like...
Usually it's like 3 or
4.
Yeah.
Huh. And this year I think could be the first time it was ever 5.
Wow.
I can't find it. Oh, 1, 2. Oh, no. 2002 had 5 nominees.
Oh, okay.
But still, that doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah.
It should, but it doesn't.
And it kind of feels like, and maybe, I don't know, maybe if I'm projecting or whatever, but it kind of feels like they're taking more, I don't know if I'd say risks, but they're being more inclusive to the different types of animated movies. Like, it just seems like in years past, maybe I wasn't paying too much attention, but it just felt like, okay, well, here's Pixar and then some kind of obscure, kind of foreign animated movie, and that's basically the category. But like,
I kind of wish they still did more special awards. Mm-hmm. The early days of the Oscars, they did a lot of special awards. Like, Judy Garland got an Oscar for Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
Because they used to give out like a special juvenile performance award.
Huh.
Shirley Temple got one once, and it wasn't even a full Oscar. It was a tiny little mini one, which when she was an adult, she's like, it's worthless. I kind of wish they would do that, because I remember they didn't have a visual effects category when 2001 was released.
Right.
But they gave it a special award for that.
Nice. Well, that's good to know.
And I kind of wish they still did stuff like that, because I can understand why it took long to have an animated category, because they didn't make a lot. Mm-hmm. Would have been cool though if like Akira and My Neighbor Totoro had gotten like special awards back then. Yeah, just something I think would make things a little more exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, we can kind of wind things down here too. Yeah, usually we end it with a potpourri section, but we can forego that because we've been going for a while.
Potpourri of what?
Potpourri. It's a section of the podcast where we're talking about whatever we want, as long as it smells good. Anything we've watched lately, or anything that yeah, let's go ahead and just do one. Do you have a movie that you watched recently that you want to throw out?
I saw Cold War on Saturday at the Landmark Theater. It's magnificent. It's not long.
Oh, nice.
It's only about 88 minutes. Beautiful black and white. The main the male lead in it, can't say his name really well, but he is smoking hot. And it's beautiful, and I'm really glad that Paweł Pawlikowski got that Best Director nomination there.
Nice.
That was one of the biggest surprises of these nominees.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw that Saturday, and I haven't seen anything else since then.
Yeah, yesterday was we're recording this Monday after the Super Bowl. Yesterday was the Super Bowl. I didn't watch it. Instead, I watched Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and then I watched, The Bank Dick, as part of my comedy, challenge on Letterboxd. Both were good. Bank Dick was fun. I do want to mention that I did recently watch The Great Dictator, which that was my first time seeing it, and just that ending just blew me away. Like, it was like that monologue is just unreal. Like, just the whole premise of the movie, the whole idea of him just doing this satire of Hitler, like it was in production in like 37, 38, came out in 1940. Like, Chaplin said, like, if he knew the extent of the Nazis, like, evil, he wouldn't have been able to make that movie, like, if he knew the true extent of what they were doing. But, like, just the idea that at that time, this one of the most widely recognizable and, I assume, beloved, performers, made this movie that just undermined this, what we now know as the, like, biggest, like, evil machine of the modern era, just did that, like, just the way that it plays out is just really remarkable. I loved it. So yeah.
One of the few times we ever heard Chaplin speak.
Yeah.
In a movie.
Yep. So that'll do it for this episode of The Obsessive Viewer. And, Manny, thank you so much for coming on. And
my first ever podcast. I always thought I'd be on We Are Libertarians first.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is that still a thing?
We Are Libertarians?
Is that still a thing?
It is, yeah. Yeah.
How adorable.
Yeah. Yeah, we're actually, friends with them for, like,
oh, yeah. Chris Spangle hates me.
Does he really?
I mean, he probably doesn't hate me, but he doesn't like me.
Interesting.
I troll the crap out of him online. And
it's
so
nice.
Much fun.
Nice. The, first ever episode of The Obsessive Viewer was recorded on his, podcasting equipment. So, yeah, that's kind of interesting, but yeah, so that'll do it. Once again, tell people where they can find you online, Twitter, Letterboxd, all that.
Oh, my Twitter handle and Letterboxd username is the same. Criterion. CRITYRION.
Awesome. And make sure you check out Manny's reviews also on Letterboxd, because, like I said, they're really good and kind of make me feel inadequate with my reviewing. But yeah, I don't know what we're going to do next week. I actually don't know when I'm going to post this, because I'm thinking that I might post this a little bit closer to the Oscars, but I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so anyway. But yeah, so make sure you support us on Patreon and check out all the other stuff we do. And yeah, I guess that'll about do it. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
The Obsessive Viewer podcast is edited and produced by Matt Hurt and presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. For a full archive of our episodes, go to ObsessiveViewer.com/OV archive. You can also like our Facebook page and join the OV Facebook group at Facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer. And follow us on Twitter at ObsessiveViewer and at ObsessiveTiny. And follow our recurring co-hosts at I am Mike White, that's me, at R.A. Feckus, and at Burger_Lurker. If you enjoy the show, please take a couple minutes to leave us a rating and a quick review on Apple Podcasts. This is the easiest way to support what we do, and all it costs is a little bit of your time. If you'd like to donate to the podcast, you can make a PayPal donation at ObsessiveViewer.com/donate. or support us on Patreon for recurring donations and access to commentary tracks and B-roll audio recorded exclusively for patrons at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Every donation goes toward paying the fees to keep the podcast running and is greatly appreciated. For official Obsessive Viewer merch, including shirts, mugs, phone cases, and more, visit our TeePublic store. You can find a link to the store in the show notes of this episode and at obsessiveviewer.com/donate. Or you can simply search for Obsessive Viewer at teepublic.com, T-E-E, public.com. For information about our annual live event showcasing short horror films from local filmmakers, check out shocktoberInIrvington.com. And for an archive of all our events, as well as news about potential future events, head over to obsessiveviewer.com/live. For more podcast content, you can find Anthology, Matt's solo podcast covering The Twilight Zone and other classic and contemporary science fiction anthology TV shows at anthologypod.com and on Twitter at OVAnthologyPod. You can also find Tower Junkies, a podcast where Matt and Tiny share their love of all things Stephen King and his magnum opus, The Dark Tower series, at towerjunkiespod.com and at towerjunkiespod on Twitter. And finally, check out The Secular Perspective, Tiny's side project podcast, which tackles current events and life's big questions from the perspective of secular hosts Chad and Amanda at thesecularperspective.com. The theme music for The Obsessive Viewer comes courtesy of the band Loudlike from their EP Mistakes We Must Make. Additional bumper music is provided courtesy of As Good As It Gets, which can be found at facebook.com/asgoodasitgetsband. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Kitty!
Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm Josh.
And this is You're Gonna Love This.
Or not.
You know, one of my great pleasures in life is to bring people down into my basement and subject them to a terrible, terrible movie that I hope they might like.
One of my great joys in life is to come to the Subterranean Fun Pit, watch a movie that Matt is convinced I'm going to love, and then tell him about how much I hate it.
So we've got a long list of movies to go through, and every month we're going to come on and have Josh watch a movie, talk about it a little bit, and see where it falls in the great pantheon of terrible movies.
And I'm pretty sure by the end of this, I'm going to develop some form of Stockholm Syndrome. Well, anyways, this is our podcast. Have fun listening to us. And as always, Matt, you're a son of a bitch.
I love you, Josh.